Hello.
Hello, how are you?
How you doing?
Good, good.
You're the first person that I've had on. This is a returning guest, so you should
Oh,
feel very honoured.
I do. Thanks for asking me. Thanks for having me again. I had fun in the summer when we did it before.
Yeah. So how have you been since then? Back in kind of a lockdown situation now. How have you found it?
Yeah, it's been different. It's even from the first day on, it's been strange. Definitely when you've been in this game as long as I have, there's a lot of things being done differently now. But once you get in between the lines, it's very similar, and it feels right when we're out there and we're playing. The issues that we had 14-day isolation a few weeks back, and that was definitely an issue for us conditioning wise. It was an issue for us, just missing the time. We missed some games that we were going to play. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's different. But as we head until tomorrow, I just spoke with the guys. We just had our final practice, and hey, we got to grab it with both hands because, as we know, you never know when the next game is coming. So,
Hmm.
enjoy it. I told them and appreciate it.
So how important was getting that game against Bristol? Was it a week ago or so? How
It was
important was that?
it was Cheshire, yeah. It was
Cheshire,
Cheshire,
sorry.
yeah. Yeah, very important. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect going in because we hadn't played a lot of 5-on-5 in practice up to that point. So yeah, it was very important. We played pretty well at times too, which was good for us. But these cup games here are still almost like the preseason for a lot of teams. But as we head into tomorrow, I think that we have a group that is embracing it and looking forward to it.
And so how do you feel about being in what's being called the group of death with Sheffield, yourselves, Newcastle, and London? I
Who
mean,
made these groups? Yeah, seems strange to be perfectly frank. I just don't know how they came up with those four. It's yeah, it's not even travel. It's not even good for travel either. So it is what it is. You have to deal with it. But you're certainly going to get six really tough games
mhm.
right out of the chute. So in some ways that'll help your preparations for the league.
It seems to me that this season the kind of quality within the league seems to have stepped up a bit across the different teams. Like Sheffield seem to have recruited really well. Do you see that as a coach yourself?
It's hard to tell just yet, but yeah, I understand where you're going with that. I mean, when you look at it, teams were allowed an extra import player this
Mm.
year. So when you look at Sheffield, for instance, who've obviously had a good start, you see the extra import really, really helping them out. You look at it with McKnight and with Koch, and then you go with Kipper Nichols and
Mhm.
Lillard. Maybe you don't have one of those, changes their team a little bit. So, yeah, I think the extra import player will help a lot of teams with depth and quality.
How have you found playing behind closed doors? What's that like?
Yeah, weird. I think that, for all of us, part of the love of basketball, I played so many sports growing up. But what made basketball so special in my mind was the impact the crowd can make, the energy in the building from the crowd before the game, while the game's going on. It's hard to explain if you haven't been involved in it before. And with that being taken away, it definitely changes it. But it gives an opportunity for your team to supply energy. And I think that what I've found in the two games that we've played so far behind closed doors, the bench can really make an impact on the game. I remember when we played Sheffield in here, I thought their bench was phenomenal. Their guys were really up, cheering, all that. And we talked about how we wanted to do that in Cheshire. And when I look back at the game and, during the game, really, really enjoyed how our bench was involved. So I do think that because it's so quiet, your bench can really talk to their teammates and impact what's happening out on the floor. So not only are you a basketball player now, but you could be a cheerleader as well.
Newcastle got Darius Defoe. I'm sure you're going to hear him a lot tomorrow.
Waving the flag. Terry's talk now, I'm sure. Yeah, and I think you look at these veteran players. that have been around for a while, and they understand the importance of being active on the bench and, really picking their guys up on the floor.
I noticed on the BBL show with Jay and Drew the other day that they kind of gone for a Newcastle win. How does that make you feel?
I didn't know that, no. So how does that make me feel now? You can't get caught up in what people think, especially now. Everybody's got an opinion all over the place. It's changed so much with social media now that, there's so many opinions coming from every angle. So you can't get caught up in that. And I think that, the other thing is we've all been so starved with basketball that any basketball that is on the way or being played, everybody's really fired up about it. I mean, so you just have to pay attention to what you're doing. You can never get caught up in that stuff. I mean, Lasker picked Newcastle?
Well, he's got to, hasn't he?
That's what I'm saying. Like, who's he going to pick? I think it'd be a problem if he didn't. So, that's I find that funny that he's picking Newcastle games. That's funny.
What's it like going up against Coach McLeod? How does that differ from, obviously, the years and years you've had against Fab, with the rivalry with Fab?
I mean, Coach McLeod says hello before the game. That's different. Fab was in his zone when he walked in the arena. Great guy. I love talking to him, and we've had many chats throughout the years. But on game day, he really wasn't someone to talk about the family at all. But yeah, I mean, Coach McLeod, he was there for so long, so he's been a part of that Eagles program. So we've seen him many times. Obviously, his teams play different. I don't want to get too far into the X's and O's, but there's a difference when you watch a team that Fab had to a team that Coach McLeod had. They do a lot of different things. So I think that's the biggest difference, is the way their teams play is different.
So who stands out from the current Eagles squad for you? Who kind of do you think is going to make a big difference this season as a whole?
Well, I mean, obviously you start with number 44. I mean, Fletcher is, it's tough it's tougher than anybody to cover in the league. I think I've said it before. I might even said it to you. I've watched basketball a long time. I haven't seen a 6-foot player and under finish around the basket as good as that. He's pretty amazing. His ability to hang in the air, to get that shot over the top of the big players. So any team that has Fletcher is going to be a contender right away. He's that good. But yeah, when you look at their roster, they got a nice little roster. That first five they put out there, some talent there. Pfluger, obviously, with the background at the ACC level, played a lot of minutes at Notre Dame. You really see there's a lot of little things on the floor to help the team win. Cortez, in our mind last year, he was right up there as one of the better players in the league, Cortez Edwards. So picking him up makes them dynamic. Maxwell on the interior, inside out. And then Gordon, you saw what he did in the first game. Relentless on the glass, can score inside and out. So, yeah, I mean, they have a really dangerous team there. And Darius as well, with Matthew and Sayers, off the bench. Darius, I don't know, every year he comes back. In first game, he hitting jumpers. And how many years is this now for him? Was it 17, 18?
Yeah.
Man, I feel like I was playing when he first started, but which I might have been. But yeah, so they're going to be a really tough team to play against. We know that, and I think that the question this season is who stays healthy. I think that when you start to look at it, which teams can deal with the injuries. It's going to be a lot of games, right? We started later, so you would assume there's going to be a lot of 2-game weekends, 3 games during the week, counting the one during the week. So who can stay healthy? Who can be in good physical condition as we, head into the league? Because it's a long season that can be a grind.
And from kind of your team's point of view, who do the Newcastle Eagles fans need to watch out for tomorrow?
Look, we have a lot of players that they'll know very well, of course, with Connor and with Jamel. Mo Walker, who played for Worcester. I think fans will remember him. But we got the kind of team that I don't know if there's 1 or 2 guys. I mean, at least that's not what we want. We want to be a different player each night that that makes the impact, and I think that's what we're trying to build here. It's still so early in the season that there's such a long way to go. And it was interesting. I was having a conversation today about cup games, right? So the cup games. Do you remember what the records were in the cup groups last year? Do you remember anybody's record?
Uh, I think I looked up. We played each other twice, didn't we? I think it was 1-1, and our
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
1-1. But
against
you
us.
don't really remember everybody's
No,
records,
no.
do you? Those wins and losses go away, right? So, my point is, you take a look at the game last night, right? London 0-2, obviously. But, it's such a long, long
Mm.
season that these are the games where you really iron stuff out. And I think that when you looked at teams in the cup competition last year and you started to look at teams maybe, a couple months later, totally different. Maybe personnel were different with some teams, but totally different the way they gelled, the way they played. So this is a long process, and I think by playing these cup games in the beginning of the year, it does give your team an opportunity to find itself without falling too far behind in the league play.
You talked before about social media and opinions. I think London have found that out there this week with everyone having an opinion on their start to the season.
Yeah, and I think people maybe, again, of course they don't want to lose their first two, but their first game, they were a 3-point shot at the buzzer away from winning, right? And then they lost to a good team last night in Sheffield. But again, they didn't make it through the cup. They didn't get to the next round of the cup last season. Either did Glasgow. And when you looked at the table at the end of the season, they were up at the top. So a long, long, long way to go. These are the games that really going to put you in position to improve once you hit that league schedule.
I bet you were happy at the end of the NBA season.
Yeah, you're right. You remember that? Of course I was. Laker fan, long, long time. I thought it was awesome. I really enjoyed all those games in the bubble. I thought it was it was different, of course, and it's not the same, but there was an element of those guys really coming together. And it was interesting when I talked about how the bench can make an impact. I heard a couple Lakers being interviewed, and they talked about how important that was for their team, that they had all their guys interacting with the players on the floor. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that new look, and I thought the Lakers were deserved winners.
Yeah, I agree. I watched a few of them because my little Jacob, he was up during the night. I was like, oh, well, I don't mind so much when there's something to do during the night.
There you go. That's a good way to look at it. But, yeah, it was fun, and they're going to have a quick turnaround, that NBA, though. They could be playing in a little over a month.
Yeah. I've got one more question, and it's from my little daughter, Eva. She's 7.
Oh, okay.
Right, and she wanted to know if you could pinch one of the Newcastle players to put into your team tomorrow, who would you pick?
Jeez, that is a tough question.
You get away with it though. She's only
Dave
7.
Forrester. Can I have Dave Forrester? Is he? Oh, he's not on the roster anymore.
No, he's not there. No.
Okay.
No.
I'd love to have Dave. He talks before the game. I'll say that. I can't pick anybody, man. But for the little daughter, I would say I'll take. You got to take 44. I mean, I think that how could you not take him? When you look at that team, he's a fantastic player. Enjoy competing against him every year.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Rob, for your time again. Hopefully talk to you at some point in the season. Good luck for tomorrow. Not too much, but good luck for tomorrow.
Okay.
May the best team win.
All right. Thanks a lot. And, anytime. I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.